Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Sustainable Stace. I hope your day is going great. I think it's about to get better. I'm going to walk you through the 3 simple steps that I use to finish off every season of raspberry production. I'm here with one of my amazing rows of raspberries. They've been super productive, and I'll show you the 3 simple steps that I take people through when I'm getting my raspberries ready to go into winter so that they emerge in springtime, ready to roll with nothing else to do between now and when I start harvesting. Here we go.
I'm Stace. For me, healthy food and sustainability are totally connected. You can grow it yourself. Nature is generous.
Hey again guys, welcome to the episode. This is going to be super fun and super informative to get you rocking on raspberries. If you want to learn about getting raspberries going for the very first time, a row that's over on my left is one that I set up last winter, and I simply titled that video Winter Raspberries because I got it all going in winter so that in spring it would be pumping out. And they're actually a late variety. Even though I'm only a month away from Christmas, I just picked fresh raspberries and it's freezing at night. So these are very durable, hardy raspberries that I have in the video where I set up winter raspberries. But today's topic is about putting raspberries that are now dormant, they've done producing, they're mature in their root systems, and 3 simple steps to take them at the close of their productive season right into winter, where they're going to be insulated, which is really critical to raspberries, that they're going to be pruned, that you're going to be rid of all the old dead wood that produced last season, and you're ready to go in spring so that it's able to manage heavy winds, able to manage cold over the winter, and pretty much fertilized and ready to go, all very naturally using simple permaculture organic steps. It's just going to be 3 easy steps. And to get going, in addition to some mulch that I have and some tying material to tie up the new canes, I've really just got 2 things that are critical. Some gloves, because these are prickly little guys, and some pruners. So gloves and pruners, some tying up material, and some mulching material. That's what I have to get rolling, and I'll take you through the 3 simple steps right now, and here we go. Okay, I just want to remind you again, guys, as we're looking through these raspberry canes, that what I'm going to do in this video in 3 steps is all I do until I start harvesting again next year. All you have to do, first of all, in the first step is remove the old canes. You're just removing the old canes. So what you have to do is be able to recognize the difference between an old spent cane, which if you take it, it's brittle, it cracks easily, and I'll show it to the camera, it's dead inside, and a new cane, this one's off to the side, so I'm not going to use it, which is supple, it doesn't crackle or bend, and if I cut it and hold it to the camera, it's green and bright in color inside. So you're getting rid of all the old ones first, and all the old ones are done fruiting. They were at this stage exactly a year ago, and they've got no more life in them. They're completely dead. The root system down below has quit putting any nutrition into them, and so they're done. There's nothing left of them. They're basically really good fire starter. They'll take probably a full season to compost down, but they work really well to do a nice little bonfire in the backyard if that's a possibility for you. So the first step is going to be simply that, taking out the old canes. And because you'll learn if you watch the Winter Raspberries video that all my blocks of root systems are about 18 to 24 inches apart, 1.5 to 2 feet apart, there's going to be clumps of roots, and out of each clump of roots there will be dead canes, which I'm removing, and there will be fresh canes, which is going to be part of our next step. So all I'm going to do in the rest of the video now, I'm not going to make you get bored and watch all of it, we'll go to just a time lapse, is I'm going to get rid of all the old canes first, and then we'll go on to step 2. Okay, there's been success. So in that first step of cutting off all the old growth, there's all the canes that I got off of there. And just again as a reminder, if you're unsure, they crack. I'll do it close to my mic so that you can hear it. Just listen up. They are brittle, they're dry in the middle, there's no life in them, and the ones that are left, though we're not going to keep them all because that's part of step 2, these are much more sinewy and supple, and they're alive, and you can see many of them still even have a sign of life with leaves on them. But now let's go on to step 2, which is more pruner work and a little bit of tying work. It's going to be involving thinning out the weakest, smallest, and thinnest of all the canes so that at each point of root or root ball, every 18 inches to 2 feet, which we're talking 45 to 60 centimeters along the row, we're going to leave 3 to 5 really healthy canes. So step 2 is get down to 3 to 5 really healthy canes and then top them. That means take whatever ones you're going to keep and cut them at a point where you agree that's the height you're going to keep them. In this case, because I've got a pole at each end and a wire passing between them, I want to cut them a little taller than the top wire so that I can tie them up. So last year's old canes that I just cut off, when I got to the tie-up point where they were tied up last fall, I cut below and above the tie point of the wire, and then the dead brittle cane just falls out of my tying loop from last season. And then I'll just show you one other thing, and that's this tying material. It's kind of the exact same stuff that you'd get as a twist tie for a produce bag at a grocery store. So it's a big roll of twist ties. I've got them, you can see little green pieces all along my wire here, and some of them have been on here on this row for 3 or 4 years. I just tie up each year's canes, then cut off them when they're old, and then use those same ties to tie them back up again. So step 1 was cut off all the old canes, and step 2 is all about the new canes. Get rid of the little thin ones, get 3 to 5 nice healthy ones in each root cluster, and then top them all equally so that they're going to basically get a haircut at the same height. And when you top them, what you do is you send a message to the root system, which is, we want to grow, we want to produce, we don't want to just push out wood, we want to push out fruit. And that message goes down into the dormant root system waiting for spring. And after we've got all that done, we've thinned them out, got them nicely spaced, we've given them a haircut, we'll tie them up to the wire, and that'll be the end of step 2. They're thinned, they're trimmed, and they're tied. So step 1, get rid of the old one. Step 2, thin, trimmed, and tied. And then we'll go on to step 3, and we'll be all done, and these will be ready to produce next spring. So here we go on this round. You can probably see our dog Soda Pop, his butt, while he's digging away here, smelling things in the garden. So any of the really thin ones, I'm just pulling up by the roots or from the roots or severing them. Also, if they're way off to the side, they'll be a little harder to manage. And so I'm just thinning them out. If I have a nice thick one like this one, I know it's going to work. I'm just cutting it off at the height that I'm going to be tying it up at later, because those are all going to be good ones that I want to tie up. And I'll tell you that in spring, once these raspberries have leaves on them, we typically get a lot of wind. And that early spring wind against raspberry canes that have new leaves on them, it's like little sails. They catch a lot of the wind, and if they're not properly tied up, you can end up with a lot of broken canes. You've got these beautiful canes that are getting all ready for fruiting and production, and then they get damaged or broken completely because of the wind catching them. So you got to be really mindful of that. So we're just cutting them off, thinning them out, and in this case, this one's really thin, so it's going to be gone. This one's really thin, so it's going to be gone, but its two neighbors here are nice and thick, so I'm going to keep them and just trim them at the right heights. Thin one, really take it out. So we're just spacing it out, thinning them out, and when they're thinned and trimmed and tied, we know we're good to go for the final step. I'll just keep busy on this for a little bit longer, and we'll do that part maybe on time lapse, and then we'll not waste any of your time, and we'll get to the fun part of step 3. Raspberries have a very beautiful interconnected root system. So just a pointer that as I'm thinning out, I've got some really nice ones. This one's about 1 meter tall, about 1 yard tall. Beautiful little root system. This is totally transplantable. If you want to create a new bed, or, oh, it's Christmas time, if you can get 6 or 8 or 10 of these little beauties and put them together into moist soil and keep them in a plastic bag or a potting container and then give them as a gift, you've kind of given a person a whole new raspberry row that they can plant, and it's just the excess off of what you were getting rid of anyway, but they're valuable if you go to buy them in spring at a garden center. I live in growing zone 8, so if you're in growing zones that are a little colder, a little warmer than that, I know raspberries do well. They'll overwinter. You can give them as gifts. You can see Soda working away in the garden there. Soda's now past 13. He had a stroke 6 months ago, totally lost his ability to control his organs, his bladder, couldn't walk, didn't have balance, and he's made a full recovery. He went on a 5-kilometer run with me this morning. So long live the dog who's overcome the stroke. Now back to raspberries, tying up. We've thinned, we've trimmed, and now we're tying. So I've just got all these ties that I've been using year after year after year, and I've just snipped the old canes out of them, and now I've got these new canes. So I'm trying to get the cane to be totally stabilized by this wire that runs the length of the row. And all I do is just like a twist tie on the top of a bag, get it around there, but I leave a bit of space, like maybe my finger or doubling of the cane size so it can fatten up or thicken up. I don't want to pinch it. And all I'm doing is giving it a few twists, and now it's good. It can slide along the wire, but it can't fall over, and I'm just going to go along the row and do all of that, and then we're going to be ready to wrap up step 2 and move to step 3. It looks a lot different now, right? I've gone along now after thinning and trimming. I've tied them all off. And I was just using all the leftover ties from the previous season's dead canes that we cut off earlier. And remember, I showed you this little spool of green material. I needed to cut 5 more pieces because I ended up with 5 more healthy canes for this season to tie up than I had last season tied up. So just 5 more canes and they're all ready to go. We've done step 1, get rid of all the old canes, cut off the dead old growth. We've done step 2, thin, trim, and tie up the new canes, and we're on to the last and final step, which is all about soil. So yeah, step 3 is all about soil. We know that no healthy food comes without first healthy soil. And raspberries have really sensitive root systems. They don't do intense heat very well, so they need insulation in hot days in summer. They don't do intense cold very well, so they need good insulation in cold days in winter. And they generally don't like being soaked. They like drainage, which is part of the reason why my raspberry beds are usually raised or elevated a bit from the general grade of the garden. Because in the middle of winter, with heavy rains where I live, if it's not snowing or freezing, there can be standing water in this area. So how do I build the soil? That's what I want to show you. 3 simple ingredients that I use to make the soil healthy every year, no chemicals added, purely organic. So at this point, I'm rid of my pruners. I don't need those anymore. I don't really need my gloves. I've got beautiful, simple, free things to put on the soil in layers. Cardboard, organic coffee sacks, and mulch from when I cut the grass for the last time in late summer, early fall under my crabapple tree in our front yard. And you can see my lawnmower there. I mulched up all the grass clippings and all the leaves that came off the tree together, and it's just been decomposing, so it's beautifully rich and nutritious. So now we're just gonna lay it down, cardboard coffee sacks mulch. It'll prevent any weeds from growing. It'll insulate the roots. It'll keep the moisture locked in. And by the way, I hadn't mentioned, there's a drip irrigation line, just one of them that runs under here. So in summer when it is warm, I turn that on about once a week to keep things moist underneath this layer of cardboard coffee sacks and mulch. So let's just lay that down and we'll have her beautifully finished. A tidy bow on the gift of raspberries. Just want you to notice one thing while I do this. This cardboard has on purpose been left out in the pouring rain for days. It's super soft and supple, which means when I come to raspberries that are not in a straight line, it just squishes and pushes right into place. It's almost like water the way it shapes itself, and when I get to a place where there's a clump of roots, I can just tear it and go around it. And that creates this beautiful weed-proof barrier. It looks like I have just enough here to do this. So the magic of placing cardboard easily is have it squishy and wet. Just leave it out in the weather. Looks like you're abusing it, you're actually preparing it perfectly. Now that that's down, kind of like underlay, I can get ready to put the coffee sacks on top of it. Here we go. So I just want to emphasize, guys, in closing here as we do the last of step 3, that I don't fertilize my berries per se. I don't put fertilizer, chemical, or anything super intentional that's labeled fertilizer on them. I do exactly what I've just done here in this video. I'm keeping them well maintained. I'm choosing the large canes that are healthiest and biggest and most vigorous. And then I'm always keeping the soil protected so it's always building and healthy and insulated. And this triple layer in the fall of cardboard and coffee sacks and mulch just does so much. All this rotting, decaying stuff, it already has worms in it. It's super happy. It's going to be insulated. No weeds are going to come up. And with no competition, the raspberries are just going to have a great time producing and making me a lot of yummy food. My wife's great joy in the middle of winter every morning is to have a fresh fruit smoothie, well, a frozen fruit smoothie, and she uses a lot of the raspberries, blueberries, and thornless blackberries that we grow on our property as the base for all of that. If you need ideas for that, you could put in things like parsley. We have fresh parsley year-round that we grow. We also add in chopped or frozen pears. So this might give you more ideas for your own fitness. Some fresh mint can be awesome in there as well. If you're just getting into growing berries, you might want to check out some of my playlists related to berries, because I've got a lot of information in a couple of videos about growing thornless blackberries, some great ideas about growing strawberries almost year-round, both in the garden and in gutters. And I've got a lot of stuff about maintaining and setting up raspberries, like I said at the beginning of the video. And there we have it. All 3 steps are done. And those beauties are all mulched and ready for winter. The only thing you got to be careful at this point is that you don't let chickens in, because chickens will get in here and they'll uproot and dig it all up. Because we're getting into winter and I'm kind of north in Canada on the west coast, Vancouver Island, the days are pretty short. But if you've been watching the light get a little less and less throughout the video, I just want to let you know that from start to finish, with the time lapse and everything I did through all 3 steps, this only took 30 minutes. This bed is about 5 meters or 15 feet long, maybe 6 meters, 18 to 20 feet long. To review the 3 steps, first of all, we cut out all the old growth that's dead and done producing. Then second, we worked on the new canes. We trimmed them, we thinned them, and we topped them off at the top. And then the third thing was we built more soil by putting a bunch of layers down, cardboard, coffee sacks, and mulch from cutting my grass and mixing in leaves from fall. So it was basically fall cleanup and free materials that created all the soil and top covering. That's all there is to it. And if you guys have been watching this on YouTube, can you please subscribe, hit that notification bell? I promise to keep on giving you great resources. Till next time.